together now. 1, 2, 3. Hey,
there it is.
That was a clean one.
Yeah,
it was very clean. So this is how it starts.
and we're back.
Here's what
that's
we
really
did
loud.
not
It's
do
really loud.
Last time that we should have done.
What's that?
We didn't introduce ourselves. We got to get better.
Oh,
at that,
sure.
Because if there's new listeners, they don't know who we are.
Yeah.
And if we have a special guest,
Oh my gosh.
we're
Wait.
not even like doing our job to, yeah.
Do we have a mask? Like, it actually would have been better if we would have started and you have a mask and you're like,
Big reveal.
I'm Tyler, I'm Meg, I'm
Whistle.
Ryan, and then it's me, Jesus.
Yes.
The masked singer. Yeah, there you go.
It's me, White Jesus.
What? Shoot, that would have been good to do.
God. This is our Next Steps pastor, Trevor Nataluk. Trevor, say hi.
Trevor, not
What's up,
Tyler.
everybody? So, I'm Trevor.
Trevor, what does a Next Steps pastor do at New Life Church?
Oh, man, so many fun, awesome things. No, so most of my role is helping people move from one place to another in their faith. And so lots of good conversations, hearing their stories, baptisms and life groups and serving, and basically just helping them get connected with the people they need, the stuff they need.
Helping them
So,
find their people. Is what we like to say.
Yep.
Also, a lot of coffee is involved, is it not?
Yeah. Well, as with anything in church, you do a lot of stuff, a lot of extracurricular things.
Yeah, and anything else that is required,
Yes,
right? That's
yeah.
what
The
happens
tag,
in the job
yeah.
description, I
So
think.
I'm also in charge of the cafe, but it's because I worked at Starbucks once upon a time.
So you had the relevant
Starbucks?
job
Yeah,
experience.
of course you did.
I worked at Starbucks,
Yeah.
so we were broistas.
I have a
yeah.
Starbucks.
That's what I called it. People didn't like that.
Melissa
there.
did
They
too.
didn't like it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, people were like, it's a barista. I go, yeah, I understand it.
Yeah, but
I'm a
you and
bro.
I are broies.
Yeah, because it was almost all girls and then me.
Yeah, same thing for me. It
And
was all,
for a
so
little
they
bit.
made me do the cold brew because it was heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
sexist,
Yeah, I
dude.
know, right?
Unbelievable.
Oh, this
But
guy
then
can
I was
lift
like, wait,
some
now I
weights.
know how to do cold brew. So when I came to church, I was like, I'm going to bring cold brew here because
Yeah.
now it's easy. I know how to do it.
That's a hit,
you
by
go.
the way. People seem to love the
Oh,
cold
yeah, we've
brew.
been cruising through it.
Yeah,
So
nice.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Who is our distributor for that?
Maine Coast Roasters.
That's who we're sponsored by this
There,
week.
There we
you
go.
go. Maine
Shout out
Coast
Maine Coast Roasters right here in Biddeford, Maine.
Yeah, Biddeford, Maine, coffee roaster, wonderful people.
Yep.
Shout out to Holly and Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good people over at Maine Coast Roasters.
Yeah, they're fabulous.
All right, so who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I am you.
I am.
I
You are me. I'm Meg Sayer. I am, I don't know, I'm multiple things.
Yeah.
I do some admin, I do some media stuff, lyrics that you might see on screen during worship. That's me. I'm also on the worship team. And I just try to fade into the
Yeah, a
background.
little bit of everything.
This feels like a support group for people that do too many things. At once.
Yeah, it literally is.
Uh-oh, yeah, I think it actually might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. They could just be the title is just help us.
Episode
Somebody
6.
help! I don't know how to delegate.
Yeah.
Episode 6, help us.
Yep. I feel like I smell. I don't know if this
Nobody
shirt stays
at
in the
home,
laundry too
nobody
long.
at home knows
So,
that.
yeah,
So
if you can smell me in your vehicle while you're listening to this, I apologize.
he just outed himself for
is-
no
Check your
reason.
air filter. You
Smell-o-vision.
can smell him in the car. That's not
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan Sayer, and I'm the tech director here. I wasn't sure. I always forget like what to say. So I'm just the guy that takes care of things. If you see it, smell it, feel it on a Sunday morning,
Smell it.
it's me. I just put wires together and
That
just
is the
make sure you can do
strangest
it.
way to describe your job.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's
Very
kinda
good.
it.
Very good
Yep.
at plugging things in and unplugging them also.
Yes, I liked how you just did that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I saw that.
You know, you take the
shy.
cable and the,
Yep.
anyway.
Anyway,
The end. That was a great podcast. We've
Yeah.
been canceled.
Did we do it?
Yeah, that was it.
We did it. All right. And I'm Tyler. I am the creative arts director here at New Life Church, which means it's raining.
It means it's raining when you're that person?
No, but it is raining.
Oh.
Wow. I just looked out the window.
that's
and
windows
never
are
happened
it is
before.
raining.
Amazing.
You know, we really needed this.
Yeah.
We really needed it. Sorry, that's my dad, right? I had to do it as a dad. I had to say that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as a creative arts director, I do like a lot of the digital and like print media, and basically I'm chief flyer maker. I get to embarrass myself on video every single week, which is a joy, an absolute joy. Although this summer we've introduced the summer vacation correspondent role with my daughter Autumn, who has taken some of that load off of me, where normally I use that time to embarrass myself. Now everybody just gets to laugh at how cute my daughter is. So
Are you going to continue this into autumn?
no.
Ooh, good one.
No, I don't think I will, although she would love that.
Yeah, the autumn in the autumn correspondence.
Yes, the
Yeah.
autumn correspondent.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ryan, you want to do a fit check?
No, I don't want to do a fit check.
No, why
I mean,
not?
I will, but like, I literally
you're-
bought. Maybe you guys talk. I'll go change into it and come back.
You don't have to check.
Okay.
No, it's
You
fine.
bought an outfit for this?
No, I
today?
just
No.
grabbed stuff that I
Oh,
thought
okay.
the Gen Zers and
Oh,
the Gen
okay,
Alphas
yeah.
would like, and
okay.
it
That
was
probably
really
looks
good.
terrible.
It's like joggers tucked
Yeah.
in. Yeah, I thought last week we talked about this. Maybe I don't know if it got cut.
I think
or-
this was off air. I think we had a conversation off air about like Gen Z, or honestly at this point, Gen Alpha fashion, and how like it's cyclical, and the old stuff is coming back. Like the late 90s, early 2000s fashions are now current fashions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you were suggesting the idea that we all do a fit check at the beginning of this.
Yeah, and so I brought an outfit, and then Meg's kind of working it.
Yeah,
Except for the
Meg's killing
shoes.
it.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
I
if
had
those were
shoes.
beat up Air Force Ones.
I
you'd
know.
be
I thought I
good to
had
go.
shoes
Yes.
in the car, and I had socks ready to go and everything.
So for
but
those who are just listening at home,
this is
Meg
what I got.
currently has the dogs out, as the Gen
I
Z
know
kids
you
say.
probably can't see them in my
The,
shot, but
She's-
Well, if you can't see it, do you want to explain your fit?
yeah, let's hear about it. Let's do a fit check with Meg.
well, I
them the
just
name
have
of those pants.
sandals on that they can't see. I think they can see the rest of it. But also, I don't understand the Gen Z Alpha. Like everything is super oversized.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it is
yeah.
very flattering.
Yeah.
But
If it's not 4X, leave it in the
I gotta give
closet.
it to them. It's super comfortable. So
That's, I think, the whole point.
I look like a hobo, but I
Yeah.
feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Hobo chic.
Yeah, I do
Hobo
think
chic.
that's the whole point. I mean, when we were in like middle school and high school, that was the thing. It
Yeah.
was like super oversized everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying that I just walked through Shaw's the other day and like walked past these two kids who I'm assuming 16, 17, probably these two boys who were dressed in, do you remember the black parachute pants that had like chains and
Yes.
leashes and stuff like
Oh, like the
hanging off?
Jenkos.
Yeah,
like,
Jenko
Yeah, okay.
jeans, but black and like just
Yeah.
the widest possible
we
leg
knew
that you can
someone
imagine.
in
Yeah.
school who would actually like sew his own, so he would make them even like they were
Whoa.
huge. It was
Wow.
humongous.
dedication.
Yeah.
So like the 23 inseams were the biggest. He was like rocking 32s, maybe
Yeah.
36s.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was weird.
There's some stuff like the
Hardcore.
bucket hat came back for a while, and I was like, okay, that's dumb, but whatever.
I know.
Fanny packs came back, but it was mostly an ironic thing, and now like they're making fashionable fanny
Yeah.
packs.
Like this.
Yeah. yeah.
Like Autumn is wearing one constantly that she loves, and I'm just like,
Like
okay,
this
yeah,
one,
there you go.
guys.
See, that's a
yeah.
fanny
But-
But that's like a crossbody
But
thing.
it's
Yeah.
a fanny pack.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you wear it.
yeah, you wear it crossbody.
crossbody.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I have,
then-
I have a crossbody one that I wore to Storyland.
Well,
with
Trevor,
kids,
you're
you
very
know?
fashionable.
That's
I
very
don't,
good.
I don't think you get enough credit for your
A
style.
merc.
Yeah.
honestly,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I guess.
Now that we've talked about how good we all look,
Yes.
let's talk about how good Jesus is.
Oh man, so good.
Pretty good segue too, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
I love
That was
that.
good.
Let's do
Yeah.
some Sunday takeaways.
Let's do it. Actually,
That's how it goes.
I watched
That's
the
how it
podcast,
happens.
Yeah.
and I don't know if you meant to do this or not, but
Oh,
some of
yes,
that
I
lined
did.
up when you
I
were
know.
playing guitar, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's pretty good.
That's cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, anyway, we are, believe it or not, still in the prayer series. We weren't
Yep.
sure. Last
Yeah.
time we talked, we were like, who knows? Are we going to keep going with prayer? I don't know. We just finished the Lord's Prayer, and like, can you even talk about prayer anymore after we
But
finished the
wait, there's
Lord's Prayer?
more.
Apparently, there's more.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pastor Justin has continued on in the prayer series, and this past week he talked about a specific night of prayer that Jesus had in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is like, that is not a light subject.
No.
Definitely not light subject matter. In fact, he called that sermon "How to Pray on a Really Rough Day," which honestly undersells what
Yeah, a little bit.
I think that undersells what Jesus was going through that particular night. We're talking about like sweat and blood.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Man,
I've never done that.
I've definitely never done that. I stink when I get stressed. I've never sweat blood.
Yeah.
I stink too, but I don't think I've sweat blood.
Yeah.
You know what would actually be really awesome is I'm sure there's a scientific reason that just proves how awesome God is more. And I wish that I would have looked that up.
Yeah, there's
talk
a word
about
for it. There's a word for it.
Is there?
My wife was looking it up during the sermon.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Ooh, like the medical term
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
sweating blood.
Yeah, and
Ooh,
it probably
yeah.
is like when someone's underneath, and it probably.
I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but
Oh yeah, that's fine.
That'll be fun.
I'd rather it not be pronounced right.
yeah.
We're not here to educate.
Yeah.
We're here to give bad takes.
Hematohydrosis.
That sounds right.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
you
blood.
said it with confidence. So
Yeah,
that's
Is there?
Hemo,
Did they
blood.
give like a scientific reason, like what causes
Yeah, what is it?
Or
Okay, this is all on the spot here, so I didn't even
Yeah.
read it.
Let's check it.
So, what does the AI say? No.
Fact checkers are going to be like, no.
A rare condition that causes a person to sweat blood, often on the face or forehead, without being cut or injured.
So it doesn't say
I know,
what would
like,
cause it.
yeah,
It just
what
says that
causes
it's
that?
possible.
Extreme levels of stress.
Oh, there we
There you
go.
go.
Around
gonna
the
die.
sweat glands, there are multiple blood vessels in a net-like form, which constrict under the pressure of great stress.
Goodness
So
gracious.
I mean, that just proves,
Uh-huh.
the stress that Jesus was under.
This
I
is
mean-
beyond rough day.
Yeah, like I think people think of Jesus and they think like, he didn't sin.
Everything was easy for him.
Yeah, it was like he just didn't struggle with anything, but like he went through the same things that we go through. So his fleshly body would have been feeling the same kind of, and he didn't want to go through what he was going through.
Yes.
Right.
People say like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, which he did,
Literally
but
did.
it was the weight of the world on his shoulders, past, present, and future.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, for the people that are
For right
alive now
now.
on Earth, it's like, hey, for 2,000 years when Tyler's born, I'm dying for him too.
That's some stress. It's we're like talking about it kind of lightly, and Justin naming his sermon "How to Pray on a Really Rough Day" is also treating it a little bit lightly. But like we can't properly understand the gravity of what he was dealing with. It's not possible for us
No
to
one's had to deal with
really
it.
understand
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But Justin landed on this one thing kind of in the middle of the sermon that that made me just I was up in the tech booth just like yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
When you hit a really good point and then you get a lot of those
Yeah.
So anyway, I ummed quite a bit when he was talking about how famously while Jesus is praying, he brought along 3 disciples with him, which I believe were Peter, James, and John. Does that sound right? I think so. Peter and the sons of Zebedee, I think is how it says it in the Bible. But so he brings these 3 disciples. James and John, famously the sons of thunder.
Yeah. That's
They're
way
the
better.
ones who said like, can we sit at your right hand, your right and left hand? Like they wanted to be the most important disciples desperately.
Yep.
Peter arguably maybe was the most important disciple if we're going to put them on some sort of tier ranking. He's probably S-tier
S-tier.
disciple,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so he brings the all-stars. He brings the 3 all-stars, and they have one instruction, which is stay awake and pray. That's it.
Easy.
Keep watch. Keep
Easy.
watch. Stay awake. Pray. A long time ago, I was told, don't pray while you're lying down in bed. You're gonna fall asleep. These guys must have been prone, man. I don't know what else to say because they fell
Or
asleep. How
they
many times?
had just had a turkey dinner.
Yeah.
They could
I don't
not stop
know.
falling asleep, these boys.
Yeah. Yep.
Ridiculous.
They had some melatonin that evening.
For real.
Tryptophan was
I mean,
through
how
the
many
roof.
times have you fallen asleep praying?
Yeah.
It's happened.
Totally.
Every
Yeah.
time I
Too
pray,
many
I fall
times.
asleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these guys keep falling asleep. Jesus is like, has literally, as Ryan said, the weight of the world and then some on his shoulders. He's sweating blood because he's so stressed out. And he goes back to check on his 3 all-stars and he's like, you got to be kidding me.
Yo.
You got to be freaking kidding
Taking
me,
a
dude.
nap.
How are you still
Yeah.
sleeping?
Yep.
And each time he talks to them, he gets a little bit more irritated. Like, how are you still asleep? This is wild. And by the 3rd time, like, guess what? We're done now. Thanks for nothing, by the way. I don't think he
Yeah.
would have been that sarcastic. That's me putting that on him. But yeah, so now it's
Fits
like,
the tone.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
now my betrayer's coming. So thanks for keeping
Thanks
an
for
eye out,
nothing.
guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, Justin's point was like, during all of that, an angel of the Lord came. This is like only in one book. It's not in both accounts of this story, but an angel of the Lord shows up to provide Jesus strength.
Yep.
Pretty cool. That's crazy. because he was not getting his strength from his people.
Mm-hmm.
Like his actual best friends in the whole world were there supposedly to provide him with unseen spiritual and emotional support. They couldn't even do that. So his people failed him in that moment. And the Lord said, I'll take care of you. Here's an angel to strengthen you.
Yep.
And Justin's point was like, of course people are going to fail you.
Yep.
They're going to fail you. Even church people, believe it or not.
Yeah, even the people who are literally the closest
Right.
to Jesus.
Right.
Like, they had Jesus right there.
Yeah.
Still couldn't really grasp it. So it's like,
know where your strength comes from. Like, sure, people can provide you that strength, but more than that, the Lord will always provide you that strength when you need it. So that was kind of a big thing for me. Was I was thinking like, oh yeah. I probably spend too much time relying on others to lift me up, to build me up, to strengthen me, and not quite enough time asking God.
Yes,
that.
that's your.
That's,
it's almost like I really agree with that point, but also like that one cuts a little bit.
It did.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here, right? That's why we go to church.
Yeah.
Man, I've said it a million times, but if you're going there and you're hoping Justin or whoever is preaching on a Sunday morning, wherever you are, is just going to like say, you're good, you're great, you're wonderful, everything you're doing is fine, you have nothing to learn, then you're there for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And you should be hoping.
And maybe they're there for the wrong reason,
yeah,
too. If that's what they're
also
saying.
true. That's also true.
Yep.
Yeah, you should be hoping that you're going to get pushed a little bit on a Sunday morning. You should be hoping to get challenged a little.
No, I like that. I like the idea of just like what we expect from people and thinking through that. And dashed expectations does a lot of damage to people. Ooh. And so like me, right? Like people in general. And like if we misplace our expectations, we're setting ourselves up for pain in the future, right? And so like learn really quick in your walk with God what I'm supposed to get from him. And then you realize like I get everything from him and I lack nothing if I'm close to God. So then anything I get from other people is like a bonus on top of it. It's not filling the deep hole in me that's already filled. And then this is all just like icing on the cake when other people, like when I can count on other people and when people do something that really uplifts and encourages me and things like that, right? But like when people make mistakes, it doesn't destroy my world.
Right.
Like
I
make them, they make
people.
them. Yeah, they're not my hope for, for like, I'm not expecting, the people at church to be God's answer to me every week, right? And so I think you just, if that's your perspective, like if you have a healthy perspective there, it's a lot easier to love people and a lot easier to forgive people, right? If I wasn't expecting to get perfection from you when you make a mistake, it's not as big a deal.
I think we do have a tendency to put maybe not so much us, maybe like, the people in this room or Christians in general, but I think the world has a tendency to put Jesus followers on this higher plane of expectancy.
Yeah, you're
like
supposed to be
behavioral
perfect.
expectancy.
Yep.
If you are a
Well, it's
follower
either-
of a man who was supposedly perfect and you want to try to live like him, that's the whole idea here.
Yep.
Every time a Christian falls short, it's like, yo, that gets more attention, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's either that they expect that because you call yourself a Christian, you will be more perfect, or it's the accusation of like, you think that you're so perfect. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
I think that someone who truly knows the Lord and is a follower of Christ knows that they are not perfect, knows that like, we also know that we are called to a higher standard.
Yep.
We know that means that, especially if it's a public thing, if you're in any position of like being in the public eye, it's not necessarily that like that sin that person did was worse than someone else's, but it's definitely held to a higher standard. So we look at those things as, like you said, being like so much worse than everybody else because they're supposed to be a Christian. They're supposed to be a follower of Christ, but
yeah.
we put too much on that too much expectation. And like you said, even on other people. And like we need other people. God wants us to have other people. Jesus had friends.
Yep.
He had people that he
and we're
was
meant to uplift each other.
Exactly.
Right?
We are meant to also call each other out, like
Yep.
in love, obviously not being like, hey, you're but like at the same time, if we can look at the followers of Jesus and see that they were not perfect, like I do think a lot of people even look at the apostles and like as they're literal like saints, as in they don't do any wrong, right? Like they were so perfect, and we know they weren't perfect.
Falling short.
They were
misunderstanding Jesus's words.
Yeah, all the time. And
even after Jesus ascended, the issue between Paul and Peter, where Paul says, like, you are a complete hypocrite because, like, you preach freedom, right, away from the laws of Moses, but then you act completely different around the Jews to appease them. And so that conflict between Paul and Peter that happens in the book of Acts is like they had interpersonal issues even after Jesus went
Sounds
away.
like every church I've been
to. Right, yeah.
This is the only church I've been
gosh.
to.
Yeah.
Could it be because they are human?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if this still goes in because sometimes I black out, but you guys are talking about like, like I think a lot of people, and maybe this isn't true, but I feel like a lot of people will come here and be like, oh, I have to talk to the pastor. They're the one that can get me through.
Yeah.
And I think that mindset, it's almost like a hero mindset or a hero pastor or whatever. And like, to be honest, like God's put people like you who are a pastor here in a place of authority, and you are a pastor and you can offer that. But I think people also have to realize that like with all of your giftings and everything you have, you can only reach so far. Yeah. But like there are peers and mentors that are here that aren't pastors or
that
whatever.
Are sometimes better equipped than me to fix the problem.
Yeah, like their calling is just somewhere else where your calling is to be a pastor.
Yeah.
You could have somebody like in the men's group, I don't know, like a Dave Shoppy or a Brian Sarah, Wayne Berthium, whatever. Like those guys can offer a lot because they care and they have pastors' hearts. They don't have the title. But like, I think that if people get into, oh, I have to only talk to Justin because he's the pastor, he has to know. Like, no, he doesn't have to know. Yeah. He will eventually know. But like, I think that if your expectation isn't God, then it's wrong.
Yeah.
Not that it's wrong, but it's like, it has to be that.
Misguided.
And not every, like, I know what you're saying, because there tends to be that mentality of like, and Justin's talked about this in the past, about even like famous pastors or people that, like are known for their preaching get put on this pedestal. Like they have all the answers. Well, they don't have all the answers. They may have wisdom. They may have training. They may have learned, more about God's teaching than we know, but they don't have all the answers. And when you go to that person with your problem, they're not always going to have the magical answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And God should be the first one you go to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Men and women all put their pants on the same way. Like it doesn't matter what your title is or whatever. If you are a child of God and can speak wisdom, you should be able to do that. But like the expectation shouldn't always, I guess my whole thing was it shouldn't always be like, oh, as a pastor, they're the only one that can do it for me.
Yeah.
God first.
Or like the head pastor.
Yeah.
Or
and you also have to have a relationship too. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it too. Like if you have a relationship with people, you guys will iron sharpen iron or feed, and as long as you're in community, I think that's how you're going to get fed the best. And that actually might I don't know, maybe you could weigh in on that too. I feel like that's good. Like if you're like, hey, I got to go there, I got to be for the pastor, but you might also say, get in community and have people that love you where you're at.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right. It's like, we just did week 3 of Growth Track, and it's like for, 3-week class for people that are newer around here. And the thing that I emphasize there is like, there's like some steps along the way that we want for everybody. And it's like our main drive is like, I want people when they get here to know that they're here for a purpose. I want them found in Jesus. But if we just do that, like that, you'll feel like that's not enough for a while. Why? Because God built us for community. So you need to be immersed in community and sharing what you have and receiving from others. And you know what? even if you have that, that will feel like not enough if you don't grasp like living on mission and I have a purpose for my life that's eternal, right? And so there's like all these steps that we need to hit to actually grow in a direction that's kingdom oriented, right? And but the community piece is huge because like many times God gives you what you need through the people around you. Right? God talks to me in prayer all the time. And then there's a lot of, especially the things that I probably need to grow in the most. Who does God use to do that? My wife. Right. And like, it's normally in a conversation I don't want to hear, but it's because I need it. Right. And that's the way this is supposed to happen because it keeps us humble. Right? At the end of the day, we're all growing, right? Even Jesus took that approach. Like he was equal to God, but did not even care about that. Like that wasn't his, like he stated that as fact because it was, but it wasn't something he lorded over people.
Right.
Right.
Do you know who my dad is?
Yeah. Right.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So. Well, I think those were some solid Sunday takeaways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. So you know what time it is now.
What
We're going to remember some stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks for the memories.
Good song.
Anyway, so we were talking about, like having a rough day, and that just sort of got me thinking about like, my version of a rough day is like if everything goes wrong at work. And let's be honest, work now as a mid to late 30s year old is a lot different than it used to be, where a rough day at work when I was like a teenager or like 20, 21, that was like, one bad day in those jobs. You don't have to stay there. You can just go.
No.
Like I'm in a career now. So a rough day here is not the same thing as what it used to be. So I thought we could talk about some old jobs that we had, like some, some teenage jobs. And I'll go first. That way I'll, tune me out while you think about your own.
Okay.
You guys don't know this, but I used to be known as the black cloud of retail. In my late teens and early 20s, I had a bunch of retail jobs all back to back that all went out of business. Some while I worked for them, some immediately after I left.
Should we be worried right now?
Yeah.
I don't think this place counts as retail. This is a church, so we're good.
Wait, we'll find out if Lazy Boy goes
I know,
under.
Seriously, if Lazy Boy goes under, which I don't think they're ever going to, but it'll be my fault somehow. It'll be my fault.
What were some of the names of these places you worked?
Okay, so I worked for Strawberries Records and Tapes.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Strawberries,
Yep. So they went out of business while I was working for them.
Scale 1 to 10, how cool was that job?
It was, it should be higher, but I'm probably going to say a 6.
Okay.
It was cool because there were good discounts, and we got to listen to whatever music we wanted on the speakers, and we could talk to customers about music, which is my favorite thing in the world. So I loved that. But also this Strawberries, if you guys remember, was actually owned by FYE. So it was kind of a corporate-y type of environment. It was not like a cool indie record store.
Sure, it wasn't like Bull Moose or something.
Right. It wasn't cool. And also this was CD era.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't vinyl, which would have made it way, way cooler. But that was pre-vinyl comeback. So Strawberries was one that went under. Sports Shoe Center in Scarborough, I worked for them. They also went under.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Immediately after I left. I actually worked for both of those places at the same time. Oh. And they both went out of business. So I also spent some time working at Movie Gallery in Saco. We all know what happened to video rental stores.
Yeah.
Weird.
But yeah, like that's one of those jobs that was cool. That was probably cooler than Strawberries.
Okay.
And I didn't appreciate it properly when I had it.
Yeah.
Because there was no responsibility.
Spiritual lesson there for you.
Yeah, there's definitely a spiritual lesson.
Don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah. There was no responsibility at all. We basically had the run of the place after 6 p.m.
I knew you back then. You should not have had the run.
No, absolutely not. The pay was terrible, but I had barely any bills. So
dude, $7.15 an hour.
Yeah, seriously, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, retail jobs, man, they'll suck your soul right out.
I bet
they absolutely will. And unless you kill them all, and I killed every store that I went to, so my soul's still intact.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You won.
Yeah, I won.
Because they died. You
I
didn't.
know you had some goofy jobs.
Oh, yeah, I had a few.
Yeah, I used to visit you at one of them.
Yeah, my first real job, I worked at the Arby's in the main mall.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
That was a greasy place.
He was nice,
Yes,
good fun.
yes, it was nasty.
He was the best milkshake creator at that Arby's.
Yep.
It brought all the boys to the yard, I heard.
It
sure
did. It did. He came for them
All the
specifically.
time. Yep.
Yeah.
The mozzarella sticks were pretty dope.
Yeah. And then that was one of those jobs that I didn't even say goodbye.
Oh no.
Camp's coming up. I'm going to go to camp and I'm going to forget this ever happened.
Nice.
So my job after that job, I got a job at the YMCA as a lifeguard because I was a lifeguard at camp. So I already had my certifications. And so then I started working at the Y in Portland. And the time that I started working, I was basically the night lifeguard for swim meets. And if you've ever felt worthless, like I didn't care, but it's like there's 100 people here and they're competing and every single one of them is a better swimmer than me. And I'm sitting here.
Competitive
you're the one that's supposed to
it's like, well, it's like that
save
meme
them.
that you see like on Facebook. It's like if you ever feel worthless, just remember there's lifeguards at the Olympics. Like that's what it felt like. But
I never thought about that. But that's great.
I was good
The cool
enough.
part,
I was only good enough to be the lifeguard.
yeah, like I'm the one with the buoy at least. Right. So it's like the cool part about that job was I got paid $10 an hour, which at that time, 2006,
that would have been
that's big.
Really good.
That was better than everybody.
Yep.
And so that was pretty dope. But that was another one where it's like, camp's coming around again, and I don't like you guys that much to stay. So,
what's the most random job that you had?
I don't know. I'll put it this way: like, I worked in daycare a lot, and then I was a cashier at Walmart. I worked at.
I'm having a hard time picturing you be a cashier.
First
I mean,
job,
it was my first legal job.
Sure,
I was getting paid at the daycare, but like
paid under the table.
I was getting
to watch people's kids?
I was getting paid like because my mom owned it. I was getting paid like
right.
fun town passes and going to the movies with my friends.
Nice.
But my
Love
first
some good old tax evasion.
Yeah.
my first paid job was like a seasonal Walmart cashier.
Nice.
For
For the
Christmas.
seasonal aisle.
No, for Christmas. And then they kept me on until I was like, this is the most boring thing and I can't handle it anymore. And then I worked at the wireless zone where we
Christian-owned wireless
were right
Verizon
near
dealer.
right near
Weird.
Gloria Jean's in the mall in that big circle by Best Buy. And
was across the
worked with him and then became one of the managers
boss.
there.
Was that actually a Christian-owned store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
The wireless one. We were the ones that like
We had 3 locations.
we weren't like,
Not
hey,
we,
come
but-
here.
Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah,
It was just like we say it away.
We
We're
were
like, come to
not
us
the
if you want.
ones that were soliciting. I've worked at hotels, like really hoity-toity in Kennebunkport.
Oh,
Nice.
Very nice. I don't know what I would call my most random. I went back to daycare. I nannied, things like that. So and then I've only left once where I did not give notice. I've always given 2 weeks notice. And when we were working at the daycare, the owner of the daycare was like, we had some interpersonal problems
You talking
with a
about
couple
your
of
Different daycare.
No, my
Okay.
different daycare.
I had interpersonal issues.
Well, I
Yeah, it
had
was my
those
mom.
too.
Yeah.
I had those too. I got fired, but every time I got grounded, I got fired.
Nice.
And then the next day it was like, where are
Well,
you?
we
And
desperately
I'm like,
need you, and I got these Aquaboggin tickets.
Yeah.
So
And so I would be back at work. I would literally stay home till she called me and was like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, you fired me.
Yeah.
Well, I need you here. Okay.
My turn?
Yeah, you're
All right, so you know how I always there's a meme I made of Pastor Tom, like usually around Christmas time he'll wear his red sweater vest.
yes.
No idea where
And
that's
so I'll
going.
always make a meme of like the Jimmy Fund. Well, my first job was at so where Smitty's is now was when it was called Cinez 8, and then I think I got hired there, but then Hoyt's Cinema bought it. But I always had to wear the red vest. I literally had to give the Jimmy Fund speech. So like it comes out of a place of hurt.
Yeah.
So Tom, I'm sorry that I made fun of you. So I worked there. It was my first job. And then I worked, I think, a couple wait staff, so governors.
No, but
which,
then it turned to
governors.
Hoyt.
Governors.
Love governors.
Yeah.
And then
Correct.
it turned to Hoyt's and you
Yeah.
worked there. And then it turned to Smitty's and you worked there
Well, I was going to get there. It's
in
part
the
of my
middle
story
of all
arc.
of that.
Yeah, Meg,
Yeah.
let
That's
him tell
part
his
of my
story.
story.
I just,
You
it sounded
ruined my
like you wasn't
story
going to go
arc.
there.
No, I was going to go there.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Stole it from you.
So that's okay.
You
I
do
do
it
that
to me all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are we married or something?
And scene.
So,
Oh, yeah, by the way, we're married.
So then Star Wars came out.
He
You were in
worked for
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
No, 2003. I think that was
No.
Return of the third one, where the prequel one. Sorry, so
Yeah, the prequels.
episode
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
So we went to Smitty's.
Yeah.
And when we were there, so that's where I used to work. It's Hoyt Cinema turned into Smitty's. And then when I was there, I remember one of these girls that I went to high school with was working there. And I was like, this is really cool. Like the whole you can wait tables and do whatever. And she's like, yeah, the pay's really good. And I was like, are you hiring? And she's like, yeah. So I actually got hired in 2003, and I stayed on payroll till
It really helped us.
5 years ago.
Besides the
Really?
actual
I think so,
money
yeah.
that you would bring home, it was
Yeah.
so great because we got free movies, free
Oh,
free
yeah.
drinks, free
Yeah.
popcorn.
So I worked that job a couple days a week, and
but
then
also
I got
our friends did too because they'd walk in and be like,
oh yeah.
"I'm here to see Ryan."
Yeah, here's you, Ryan. I'm gonna get the Punisher burger, and then I wouldn't be working, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're all set." So a lot of people got in for free
Yeah.
when we
That's
went there.
cool.
we joke that they
That's
still
why
do.
it's going under.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always
It's 'cause
thought
of Ryan.
I've always thought that working at a movie theater would either be like a super cool gig if you have the right mentality about it, or it would be an absolute nightmare, but probably no in between.
It's both.
It's both.
Is it both?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I
And
mean,
you
you
can
have-
say that from like the point of view of someone working in a regular movie theater
Yep.
and a restaurant.
Yeah, when I
movie
worked in the
theater.
regular theater, it was like go, go, go.
Right.
And then it was like you get a ton of time. So we would clean out the popcorn machine and we throw all the popcorn on the floor.
Yeah.
And then so the concession stand's 20 feet long, but then there's a back room that's 20 feet long.
Yeah.
So it's like a 40-foot whatever. So we would put all the popcorn on the floor and we would run 20 feet and then dive.
Awesome.
And we would slide on all the popcorn and crash into the
Nice.
things
And get
and
really
drink
greasy?
Surge on tap.
Ooh.
OG Surge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude.
This episode is the 2000s throwback episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
This is
here.
98 though.
Yeah. Well,
90
yeah, that's the sweet spot.
97,
for
98. Yeah, they had just come out and I was like, what? Anyway,
Man, did I love
worst job I
Surge.
ever had though
Big surprise,
was working at
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Hussey Seating Company.
Yeah.
Hussey
Yeah,
Seating
so
Company.
Nate Osgood, who goes
Probably
to church
his most
here,
weird one too.
he's there.
Seating,
Mike Butler.
Seating.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
seats.
Seating.
Yeah, seating, and I think I almost said Mullins. Rich Stevens, I think works there. There's 3 or 4 people from church here now
Yeah.
that work there, and I remember 2 great stories come out of this though.
Yeah.
So when you work at a
my
factory
gosh.
job, they have a canteen vending machine that will have sandwiches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I think at one point there was this open slot, but we found a frog underneath the canteen machine, but it was freeze dried.
Oh no, this was not a living.
No, it
frog.
wasn't
I
alive.
see.
It was, but it was frozen like this. And so we put that.
Mid-jump.
So we put that in the thing so you could buy it if you wanted to. It's $1.50. And so it was actually my buddy that did it, and I won't say names, but he got in trouble. So there's 4 guys that I knew that worked there.
Please don't come after us,
So,
PETA.
you
The
got-
frog was dead when he found it.
it was, and it was dry, and it wasn't unsanitary, but
Oh no, that's unsanitary. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
it is unsanitary, but just that one little
Totally.
cavity.
How long did you last at that job?
Not long after that.
It was only a couple months, wasn't it?
I only worked there for 4 months because they
Yeah.
laid 7 people off, and it was the greatest thing in the world because
Please
I was like,
lay
thank
me
you,
off.
I can go somewhere else because I've never been irresponsible. I've always had 1 to 3 jobs
Yeah.
at the same time. So
I wouldn't call him not irresponsible though.
sorry when it
He's
comes
like,
to
I've never
jobs.
been irresponsible.
When it comes to working, I haven't been
knows.
irresponsible.
Yeah, no, you've got
Yeah,
high
he's
work
always
ethic,
he's
so-
always been a worker. Yeah.
Yep. Enough about me.
Well, it's funny that you say that getting laid off was a great thing because that actually reminds me. There's a 5th retail place that I shut down. I completely forgot about
do
it.
tell.
jeez.
Yeah, they shut down after I left, but I would like to be very clear about this. This is not an endorsement for this company at all. In fact, I'm not going to name them. I'm just going to say what they did, and you're going to know.
Oh, okay.
This was a rent-to-own furniture company.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Worst.
There's
All
one or
I
two.
thought I was signing up for was to deliver furniture, which, as we've established, I like doing that.
And
I'm
you're pretty good at it.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
good
yeah,
at it.
yeah.
I brought this chair in here earlier today with
Yeah.
you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Flex
Didn't
those
even
muscles.
hurt his back.
Not this time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I worked for this rent-to-own furniture company. I thought it was one thing. It turns out it's actually something completely different. There was a lot of repossessions that happen in that
Oh
line of
yeah.
Did you
work.
have to do 'em?
Totally.
Oh, every single day.
Oh, that's going to be the worst.
Yeah.
Every single day. I would be
Would not do.
renting people a TV on a Friday and then taking it from them the next week, knowing full well, like, I'm going to have to repossess this thing. And it was terrible. I didn't know about any of that. I didn't know about any of the cold calls to people. I didn't know about calling references of people who were not paying you to say, hey, your friend is not paying us.
Oh, that's awful.
that seems
I didn't know-
shady.
I could do an entire podcast on just that job, but the best thing that happened to me, appendicitis.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I
dude.
got appendicitis.
I got it twice
Had
once.
to,
I'm just kidding.
we're going to come back to that. Had to take care of that. And then I was not allowed to do any manual labor for a certain amount of time. And so I just called the place and I was like, yo, got appendicitis, can't do manual labor. I quit. Goodbye. And that was the end of that.
Yeah.
But they're gone now. They have disappeared. I don't know what happened to them.
Did the name start with a vowel?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
'Cause
the other
Start
one.
with
Okay,
an-
so
It
it's-
started with a
yeah.
consonant
Oh, okay.
and a couple of dashes or hyphens in there also. Anyway, that place was in
The
Westbrook.
shadiest business models.
Yeah, so I didn't really understand what I was getting myself into with that one.
Yeah.
But appendicitis, best thing
Saved
that ever
your
happened
life.
to me.
Yeah.
It got me out of that.
So you
place.
have no appendix.
I have no appendix, unless they grow back.
They do not.
No, yeah,
Internet,
that's how you,
do they grow back?
I mean-
someone wait.
yeah, they do. That's why I had it twice.
It could be a miracle, and you could. No, they don't grow back.
Someone's like, I think I have appendicitis. Can you pray for me? And they grow 2 appendix. So then, like, if one dies, they're like, oh,
Doubled up.
appendices.
Well, did we do it?
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, we
I
could.
think
Yeah.
we did
Yeah.
it. I think we more than did
Should
it.
we talk more about your job? Like, you're the guest speaker, and I feel like we didn't do anything about it.
I mean,
Like,
I'm just vibing, you know?
You did.
yeah, I mean, I think you navigated
I
really
think
well.
you did great.
Would you
think
would
you
you
did.
would you say that growth track is really awesome for people to? Wait, what is growth track? Is that something we do here?
That was so subtle.
Yes. So you'll have to clip this part and put it back at the other part. Where I
Yeah,
was talking.
we'll slice it and put
Yeah.
it back there.
Okay. So Growth Track is our 3-week learn about. So what is it? We learn about New Life to give people an introduction to the church. This is what you're seeing and what we got going on here in the church's history, and then we get into who are you, which means we're going to take a personality test, a spiritual gifts test. We're going to talk about that because the thought is we don't want you to come here and just attend. We want to see what God's put in you. And then help you become that thing, right? Whatever that takes. And then week 3 is making sure people know all that's available to them because, right, we're a fairly large church. We're not huge, but we got enough going on where it can be intimidating or confusing. And so that's all about if you wanted to get connected to certain things, this is what you do, right? And so we talk about life groups and serve teams and all kinds of stuff, right? So it's basically just an introduction. And then really from there, I take people into one-on-one meetings over the following weeks to really hear their story and why they're here.
Yeah.
So,
And essentially, that's the stepping stone to get you connected. with
yeah,
something.
really at the end of it, it's just I want to get to know you and I want to hear your story. And so that way New Life doesn't feel like big sea of people for you.
I feel like if you're going to be at a church, all you people that are hiding, listen up. If you're even listening to this. Yeah, I feel like the best thing you can do as a congregant, and maybe I'm wrong, so correct me, but is to share your gift with church and to get connected. So if you haven't, I highly encourage going through Growth Track. And that's how you become a member here too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that everyone that's out there, I talked to side note, there's a lot of people that I know that don't go to this church anymore. And when I see them in public, I'm like, hey, where are you going to church? I don't care where it is. Just go somewhere. And they're like, oh, I'm not going. And I'm like, you have such a gift that you can share. You need to go and share it with somebody. Why are you not doing that? Just do it. You should be there also because God's called us to be there. But
Well, and not only that, if you get connected, you find your place and you get connected, it's easier to not kind of go astray.
So that's why I have the people that are hiding. If
'Cause
you are
you make
hiding in New Life,
relationships.
because it's
You're
easy
valuable.
to do that. You are
We
valuable.
want to know you.
Yeah, we do. Because our church,
Sorry, I'm
And
yelling.
we want
If-
you to know you.
if everybody gets connected, our church can reach so many more people because there's less heavy lifting for everybody because we're all working as a family. And I think I've been here for over 30 years, and I feel like our church is more of a family than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And even if we don't have a ton of people, almost for all of the volunteer groups that I'm in, or not that I'm in a ton of them, but like the volunteer groups that I'm in or anything that I'm associated with, the people that are in those groups know everybody and they care for them. So when someone's struggling because their kid has a cold, I'm at home worrying that it's not like, oh, is everything going to be okay? I got to pray for them. It's just being in community. And I think that's what's going to that's what makes a church is if you can be in community and stay there, because it's just like me, like I've always talking like, I'm leaving, I'm done, I'm all done. But then I'm like, okay, if I leave, it makes it easier for someone else to leave. Not that I have like this huge sphere of influence, but it's just, if I leave, maybe Meg leaves, and then if Meg leaves, then maybe one of her friends leaves because they're like, oh, I'm gonna do that, and then it just doesn't help anybody, and then you go to another church, and then same things happen or whatever.
Well,
So
if you leave. If you leave a church that you're not connected to, whatever. But if you leave a church, but it's a lot harder to leave a church that you're really connected to because it's more like divorce, not just
100%.
leaving the Sunday thing, right?
Man, that is so true.
Yeah, and so and so I guess the positive side of that, like for people that aren't connected to church that are hearing this, like there is so much for you in deep relationship with the body of Christ, and God wants you to have a family. He wants like the spirit of adoption, right? That's what like our ministry is. And I say this every time I talk about this in Growth Track is like the amazing thing about adoption is like you can be accidentally born. Right? Created. You cannot be accidentally adopted, right? And like God has chosen us and he wants us to be a part of his family, and so the best way to like really live that out, one, give our lives to Jesus, live to follow him, live for him, then give your life to other people and see how much more amazing life is.
Yeah.
Right?
It can be too easy to like go to a church and just kind of like fade into the background. You go and then you leave right away. But then when troubles come, it can, I won't say it's always, but a lot of times it's those people that are like, there's nobody there. Nobody reached out to me or whatever. But if you don't get connected with people, even if it's just greeting someone at the door or
you do have
coming
to be
and
vulnerable.
cleaning on the weekends or serving coffee or whatever, you become part of that community. You become a vital part, and you meet people and you get to know them and they get to know you. And then when something's going on in your life, they're like, hey, how's that thing going? Oh my gosh, I want to pray for you. Yeah. Instead of, you just feeling like, well, nobody reached out to me or nobody,
I'm an island.
Nobody knows me or An
important part of my story is that we started coming here specifically because it was a bigger church in the area and we knew we could be invisible, or at least we hoped we could be invisible, because we had been extremely visible at our previous church, which was much smaller, doing a little bit of everything all the time, like for my whole life. So we were like, I've heard New Life is big. Let's go try that. And it worked. I was invisible for a while, like sitting in the second row, still managing to stay completely under the radar. But what I've found, and I say this every time I meet somebody new in Coffee Break, is that the second Laura and I took a step towards community in New Life, New Life ran to us.
Yes.
We were like, okay, maybe we're interested. And they were like, great, let's do this.
I've been dying to love you.
Let's do this. Let's get you involved. However you want, by the way. We're not going to make you do anything you don't want to do. But whatever you want to do, there's an option for that here.
Yeah.
Like, let's find out
So
what
can
you're
I ask
about.
you a question on that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so what would you say to somebody that's been here for a year and a half, 2 years, feels like they know nobody? What would you encourage them to do?
Okay. Even if they've been here for a year and a half and they don't think they know anybody.
Apply for a position.
Right, apply to work. See if you can get a job here. That's what I did. No, go to one of two things. Check out Coffee Break, which we do every 2 months. Like that, it's become pretty frequent. We're doing these coffee breaks. That happens after both services. It's a chance to meet the whole staff. It's a chance to meet other people who also don't know anybody. Or Growth Track is the other one, honestly, because that's another opportunity to meet people who are all kind of in that same area. Like, yeah, I like it here. I think I'd like to explore sticking around, but I don't really have much of a connection.
Totally.
I honestly think that those two things are really well set up
Start somewhere.
for you to just to enter a space that's set up specifically for people who are not sure like where they belong.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Well, and I get it
So I would
because
say that.
in a bigger church, like it is easier to kind of get lost and feel like, how do I even get connected? How do I make friends? Because if you go to a church where there's like 30 or 60 people, every new person is like sticks out like a sore thumb, right? Like everyone knows that person, so that they are new, and so they can go to them. But I mean, in a church our size, which isn't even, I can't even imagine churches like in Texas or whatever that are like 10,000 people. Like I can't even imagine that. But even in a church our size, you can go. You can meet someone even now and be like, how long have you been going to New Life? And they're like 5 years. And you're like, between different services or like
that's
they
so
just sit in a different
when
place.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I want to know everybody.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, if they have never like reached out and said, I want to get involved in this or whatever, you might not see them as often.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that like, they come and then they like leave after. And so you don't have an opportunity. Because I mean, I get it, especially if you're newer. You don't like you don't want to just stand around and be like, okay, what do I do now? Because I don't know anybody. So you tend to just, okay, well, I came to church, worshipped, listened to the service, and now I leave. So things like coffee break, things like growth track are a great way to come get some food and meet awkward
Judy's gonna
people
make
like
something
us.
delicious. And then we'll all be weird.
I love whoopie pies.
Because if you see Tyler or I in coffee break, we're
the
trying
socially awkward people find each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just stand over here with the food
mess.
and like talk to someone if they come up to me. Yeah, that's like super painful.
Well,
Yeah.
Pastor Trevor,
Yeah.
old friend, old buddy, old pal.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah, thanks
This has
for
been
coming
fun.
Thanks for
on.
being our very first special guest on the New Life podcast.
I think what we should do is we should find out what people want for the next guest.
Yeah.
And no matter who it is, we have
Give
Trevor
Trevor
coming
a
back
round.
on. Yeah.
I'll just put a mask with their face on.
So I guess, I mean,
I'll go to Tom's house and steal his sweater vest.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I'd like to do a Jimmy, we can do a Jimmy fun
Tom.
before.
Yeah.
so to our loyal listeners, if there's anyone that
Our Patreon followers?
Yeah. Yes, as Ryan would say. If there's someone you want to see on our podcast, let us know.
Yeah,
Someone you think that would
But
be
we're not
like
going to tell
fun
you where
or-
it's at.
Yeah. We can't promise anything, but
Yeah.
All right.
I'll wear a good fit next week.
There we go.
Or next week. Oh,
In 2
next
weeks.
time.
hey, congratulations,
Next time.
listeners! Also,
Yeah, right,
like
seriously.
you're getting another podcast in less than 6 weeks time.
Yeah, I know.
So,
this will be the
crazy.
shortest distance between two recordings
Yeah,
ever.
unless this one takes you like
They
7
won't even
hours.
see
to edit.
it. They won't even
or
see it
3 weeks. I
coming.
mean,
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
not. Well, let's do it.
yeah. All right.
Let's end with
we
our
do
traditional
Everybody-
four-way high
their mics.
five.
Okay.
We're gonna do a high five, a four-person high five.
a 4, 5, and go.
I caught a finger.
It was terrible. It was the worst
wasn't
one
mine
ever.
because